This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Gerry Callahan will be returning, I promise. I am here tomorrow as well, but this is the Gerry Callahan Show. I love filling in for Gerry. I love Gerry's show, and I've been enjoying Gerry enjoying the last 24 hours news cycle on X as well. Some of the content that's out there is just beautiful. The Democrats, the House passed the SAVE Act last night. So what that is essentially voter ID for federal elections. If you're going to register to vote for federal elections, you have to just show that, like, well, I don't know, you're a citizen, something easy like that. Now, the way it's being taken by Democrats, or what they tried to tell us, and this is amazing that this stuff works. What they tried to tell us is that this is going to disenfranchise women because women changed their names when they were married. But of course, women managed to do all sorts of stuff with changed names. And also, liberal women just hyphenate their names. They're too insecure to just change their name half the time. But Catherine Clark was approached in the Capitol yesterday. And this is essentially the argument that the left is going with, that women just are too stupid to handle this change.
Whip Clark, you are saying that the Save America Act suppresses voters, but it's over 70% of Democrat voters actually support voter ID. What's your response to that, and why are Democrats so misaligned with the base on this issue?
Listen, this voting act goes way beyond voter ID. So you're comfortable with saying to women in this country who've been married and changed their name that you now have to travel, go to your clerk, fill out affidavits, pay for a passport? Most people don't have a birth certificate or a marriage certificate that they can prove. We know this is what this is about. It's about voter suppression. It's about suppressing women's votes, full stop.
Full stop.
Full stop, exactly. As if, by the way, like, married women who are voting would probably be Republicans who are going to vote in a high propensity. And they figured it out. And everybody's for this. But the only people who aren't for this are Democrats trying to steal elections. But black voters and white voters, black voters who Democrats tell us are too dumb to know how to register to vote or to have ID. Everybody is for that. Of course, you're going to have an ID to vote. You need ID to do everything. And married women somehow manage to go and do all sorts of open bank accounts and go to liquor stores and get inside casinos and do everything else it takes with an ID. But that's what they told their voters, and Democratic voters, in a state like Massachusetts anyway, in a state level, the voters in Massachusetts are stupid enough to go for this. I literally remember, and this is pathetic, so, but don't judge me, but 12, 13 years ago, my town had a boot camp, like this, a fat camp. Basically, it was all middle-aged women and me. Because you wake up early and you go there and you do sprints and you run for an hour and you try to lose weight. Most of the women were there because they were trying to lose weight for, like, weddings and things. But I was there too. And this is when the world decided that Mitt Romney, like the night before, Mitt Romney, somebody went after him for saying binders full of women. And I remember being the next morning in fat camp and all the women there talking about the war in women. Yeah, Mitt Romney said binders full. Can you believe that? I was like, wow, that's all it took. That's all it took. The voters in this country, this state. Now all these women, by the way, to a person, all have a trans kid. And Catherine Clark has at least one trans kid. I think two, as a matter of fact. We'll get to that a little bit later.
They also assault cops, don't forget.
Well, yeah. Now, yeah. Now they're blowing whistles and they're on the Signal app, driving around looking for law enforcement, and that's their new thing. But anyway, this absurdity played out on CNN last night, where Scott Jennings had to fend off just ridiculous arguments from people on the panel. Let's jump into that.
He is actually championing a bill that actually would take voting rights away from a lot of Black people in this country.
Wait, what voting rights is he taking away from Black voters?
Oh, if we look
What,
at
the SAVE Act?
The SAVE Act, that's
Okay.
exactly what we're talking about. That is actually going to continue to disenfranchise overwhelmingly a lot of people of color. There are so many civil rights organizations that have run the data. If we look at the way that it is going to Black voters, it's the same reason why Chuck Schumer called it Jim Crow 2.0.
So,
this is the same president. If we want to continue,
you haven't said how yet.
I am talking about it. It's the way that you're putting new poll taxes on this when you're making people have. That's what we can call them now. It's kind of an idiom, right? If you want to say that people have to prove that they are citizens, that they have to prove with a voter ID, the reality is you're layering what is a constitutional right for the American people and making it harder for people to vote in this country. And it's going to disenfranchise Black voters.
Concern you that you're making all these claims? You've yet to lay out how it's hurting anyone, but 76% of Black voters think we should show an ID to vote. 80% of Hispanic voters, 83% of the American people. Are you saying that Black voters
the
are
SAVE
too
Act
dumb to know what's good for them? I mean,
the SAVE Act isn't just about.
It sounds pretty condescending to me.
The SAVE Act is not
three-quarters of Black voters
IDs.
That's not
who want voter ID.
Just to be clear, the SAVE Act is not just about ideas. The SAVE Act is about
proof
of citizenship.
So what?
So it doesn't. I actually.
It also makes it very hard for married women who.
I was just going to say, we talked about this before.
By the way,
it's not. It actually, there's an argument to be made that red state voters, women, poor white voters could be just as.
I know you think they're dumb too, don't you? I mean, that's the thing.
Nobody.
I hear these arguments. I hear Democrats all week long.
No, please don't. No, you listen.
There's the deflection from talking about Donald Trump's race.
So good.
It is so good. And the thing is, Craig, is that it's not as if Scott Jennings is good at this, but he's not a Jedi master. He's just not insane. And that's everything. These people are unhinged. They've lost it. They believe their own rhetoric. They've all got the same. You're right. Robin says never answers. They never answer. There is no answer. And to say, oh, we've run the data. Oh, shut up. Your activist group has run the activist data. We do not believe you. The American people know how to vote. Aren't you surprised sometimes, like that when you go to vote, that you're not asked for ID? I'm surprised. If somebody ever asked me, I'd be like, oh, I mean, other people ask me. There's a store in my town where I have to give ID if I buy a 6-pack. They ask, even though I'm old. Who cares? Like, obviously, I'm over 21, but it doesn't matter. We all have ID. We can all use it. It is a straw argument. They know it is. But that's the party that says you can't do it because it's sexist and or racist. The only reason why you don't want the ID for voting is because you want to steal elections. That's it. That's the only reason, or else you'd want there to be ID requirements. You'd want proof of citizenship unless you wanted non-citizens to vote, which brings us to what I consider, and this is a long cut, and I apologize for that, but it's a fantastic piece of audio. This is from the Enquirer, which is it's the other news organization in Maine, other than the Maine Wire, which is what I work for. But these guys do an incredible job. And so there's two things that gets me about this piece of audio we're going to listen to. One is, oh my goodness, the answers that this guy gets from the town hall official, the election official he talks to, will blow you away. And by the way, it's not the only one. There's a few different, like this group, the Enquirer, they talk to a bunch of election officials around Maine, and they're getting all the same answers. But also the skill with which this caller advances the ball for extra yards. And you'll hear it. It's as if it's like a good prank caller to a radio station who gets his first prank go through and then keeps building on it. It takes a lot of skill. So listen to this. This is the Enquirer talking to election officials in Falmouth, Maine. And he's saying that a friend of his from Angola, Africa, the friend wants to vote. And this is the conversation he has with the town voting official.
I have a friend who's Angolan. He doesn't speak English, and he wants to register for this election. The only problem is that he's going to be going back to Angola during the election. Can he get an absentee ballot sent to his? Yeah. Okay. So someone was saying that if the absentee ballot is sent to his P.O. box that we could then get that absentee ballot and just mail it to him in Angola, and he could fill it out, send it back here, and we could just put it in a Dropbox for him?
You could, but if he goes to the Secretary of State, they'll just email him the ballot, and then he can email it back.
Even easier.
And so there's really two options. So I could either have him do it through the Secretary of State, and they'll just do the email thing because he's overseas, or
right.
And that would actually be easier than having the ballot sent to his PO box. Yeah,
correct.
So I'm 99% sure he's a citizen. And then, do you guys check birth certificates or green cards? Do you force them to show that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, because
he just has to sign that he's a citizen upon penalty of law.
Yeah, it's like I think honor based. He just checks the box or something.
Yeah.
And I think in state of Maine, there is no check if someone's a U.S. citizen, but they just want to know who the person is.
Right. Exactly.
And when when he goes back home to Angola, when he's not here, he'll just do the ballot situation, the absentee ballot, and
Correct.
he can vote.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's confusing because a lot of people will tell us, no, in Maine, you have to prove that you're an American or that you,
no, you don't.
It's ridiculous. I mean, the thing is, this
she thinks
guy
he's on the same
one
team.
of the most patriotic, democracy defending people I know. And he is adamant about voting in Maine elections because this election coming up is going to determine if he gets deported or not. Right.
Right.
Yeah. There is, in the state of Maine, there is no check on if someone's a U.S. citizen.
Correct. There's no check for me.
Yeah, in some states, they actually force people to show that they're U.S. citizens, which is ridiculous, especially with the amount of immigration that we've had over the past 4 years. Do you agree that no one is illegal on stolen land?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And is America stolen land?
Yes.
Okay, and so that sums it up. If he agrees with you, he's 100% on the same side of you with all this, and his friends and such. I mean, I think we're all on the same page. It's just by any means necessary, right? Bam.
I can't say that because
I know.
It's not illegal.
That would be appropriate. It's amazing.
He gave her like 17 outs to be like, no, he can't, and she wouldn't take any of them.
Yeah. And it's like he kept pushing it, stolen land. And do we think, by the way, that she's the only one in state government? And you pluck anybody out of Boston City Hall or the State House in Massachusetts, and you're going to have largely the same thing. Yeah, of course it's stolen. And she doesn't think she's saying anything political. These are just everybody who works in government in blue states. They're just activists by definition. They just are. And so they don't see the problem. Like, of course it's stolen land. Of course we're going to let him vote. Yes, of course. And that's why when you say you can pick up what you want, I know, isn't it amazing? They've got, by the way, check out the Enquirer on X if you're there, because they've got other audio too. That's just it's amazing. But without the two outlets in Maine that are doing any journalism, none of this stuff gets to the surface. I mean, we don't find any of this stuff. But this is who's in there now. All of these activists, they want to rock elections. And so when the media tells me, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but when the media tells me about an election and they tell me it was the most secure of all time, I don't believe you. Okay? About the media tells me, when the establishment media or the conventional wisdom pats me in the head and says, stop talking about election integrity. It's safe enough. Stop asking. The lady in the recording was somebody who worked for the town in Maine, who was like the clerk in the clerk voting office there. But this could be in any town in any blue state. These jobs, unfortunately for us, many of these jobs are gravitated to by the left. Which brings us to the latest media vomit that we saw yesterday, which was the coverage of the trans shooter in Canada. Now, you wouldn't know, the shooter was a man who was pretending to be a woman. And if you saw this, and there you go, Craig, you can see right there that almost every big platform referred to the person as a female. 10 dead, including female suspect. Female identified as suspect, including female. 10 dead, including female suspect. Female. And the reason they did this is because the cops don't feel, in Canada, whatever gender you think you are is what now scientifically we have to accept. So you had the police in Canada, and we can play any of the cop cuts, Craig. Yeah, it's a good one. Listen to this. Listen to this insanity of a new word. We've got a new word now, a new gender.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to
the deceased gun person? That's all we're getting. Right? What do you mean? It's just a gun person? Yeah. And the media plays right along. Yeah, it's a gun person. Okay, I'll accept that. Yeah, gun person. And they say this as if it's just totally normal. And you're weird for not knowing. This guy is a guy here also is reiterating the rules for the media.
We've heard all around the world reports coming out from different media, not local but world, and we've heard people from Tumbler Ridge, actually people that know the shooter, and they are all saying that this person is transgender. Why is the RCMP not speaking to this? Why are we hiding this from the public?
Well, first off, thank you for your question. We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female, both socially and publicly.
Unfortunately, we've heard a lot of transgender as masculine. Do you think there's a correlation here?
It's too early to say whether that has any correlation in this investigation. I think it's important to recognize that this investigation is still in its infancy. We have scenes still locked down the school and the residence while we execute search warrants and gather further evidence and talk to witnesses that may have further evidence for police.
Canada is so soft.
Yeah, but also, like, what are the priorities in the investigation? How much priority is being given to make sure that we use the right gender or come up with a third? Like, what is a gun person? Craig, aren't you a gun person? I think. I mean, what is that? It's not a descriptor. Look out, everybody! Look out! There might be a gun person at the school.
Well, the person that just killed 10 people and is now dead might be upset.
Right. Yeah. But they care about that. You're right when you say they're soft, but also they're soft and at the same time they're dangerously not soft, because this is the same country where, out of a sense of compassion, the state will help you kill yourself if you're depressed. Okay, this is the shooter. This is the gun person right here who was allowed to be walking free in Canada.
You just like chewing on their teeth.
Some audio there, Craig, if you can get it. Yeah, let's let that person walk around with a gun. Let's let that person walk around freely at all. And the cops have been to this dude's house repeatedly. And because it's Canada, out of a total sense of compassion, they let this person operate, who was obviously a lunatic. But they have to be compassionate to that person in the same way that if somebody in Canada is depressed, then they out of compassion, they can help that person kill themselves, because they're really, really good people there. And if that person that we just saw, who's obviously a barking lunatic, that person we just saw kills a bunch of people, then we need to think about that person. This is a Canadian activist woman on X yesterday telling you who the real victim is.
As a person who went to school, had hateful comments directed my way, the first victim of this tragedy was the shooter. And you can disagree all you want. But that person did not just decide one day that
It's
it
like
was
Rachel
the day.
Maddow.
Seriously.
It was the day that they could not take it any longer. I know it's a small community, but you know what also comes with a small community? A small mindset. An uneducation to understand that maybe difference is okay. The first victim to this tragedy was the shooter.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, I mean, how long are we going to play along here at this point? At this point, you have major medical associations now moving off of this and saying, oh, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have done this. We've talked about this. Catherine Clark's kids, at least 2, I believe, are also trans. Now, trans didn't used to exist. 15 years ago, nobody would say anything, but that's kind of weird. And then it became a thing right around the time Donald Trump became on the world's radar. It became a thing where if you dared not celebrate trans, it was Caitlyn Jenner, and I remember it because I got in an argument with colleagues when I worked for the paper. And Caitlyn Jenner said, okay, Bruce Jenner said, okay, I'm now Caitlyn Jenner and I'm now a woman. And I was around a table of journos, and I said, well, Bruce Jenner can change his name to Caitlyn Jenner all he wants to, but he's not a woman. And they said, yes, he is. And I said, no, he's not. When did this download happen? I said, he's not, and he'll never be. And they said, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Why isn't he, Tom? I said, he's not because he's not physically. He doesn't have the biology to, first of all, give birth to babies, to which this is literally true. A woman at the table said, oh, really, Tom? I'm not able to have kids, so that means I'm not a real woman? It's literally happened. That person who said that is now in academia teaching other people. So we started this insanity where we have to go along with it. And when people had questions and said, should we really be doing this thing? Should we do, Tina says, I'm pretty sure we've all had hateful remarks towards us in school. Yes, exactly. And we've all been confused teenagers in school as well. And our jobs as parents is not to affirm confused kids. I mean, this is a social contagion issue, which in the 90s or in the 80s when I was a kid would usually happen in groups of girls, with girls cutting themselves and other things like that. But with the trans thing, and we've always known it, obviously, with the trans thing, you get rewarded. There's a reward system. You get to have a little coming out thing. It's all about you. But there's no way to, why would you let your kids be miserable like that? You don't affirm something that's extreme. If I go to a doctor and I said that I feel like my arm is actually an octopus tentacle, I'd like you to remove it. He's not going to remove it. We don't do that for anything else. And yes, there's breast augmentation and rhinoplasty and all sorts of plastic surgery stuff. And I think, sure, you should look at the ethics of that as well. But that's not extreme, irreversible, life-changing in the same way. You can certainly tell that a lot of people manifest their emotional unwellness in some of that, especially if they've got the whole tiger face going thing. But no. It's not the same. It's not. And for us to be, this has to just stop. Like I was getting to it. I read the comments. Careers were destroyed and changed. You know, the namesake of this show was the king of morning sports talk radio, and dared to say the humane thing about this topic, and was hounded and terrorized by a legion of lunatics. It's a terrible, it's a black mark, because the people who think they're the good guys, who are saying that they're the good guys, they're the bad guys. And to have doctors reinforce, can you imagine being a parent and have a doctor say, hey, Tom, we are sorry, but you need to affirm your son's gender journey, have him start taking puberty blockers, and maybe in a few years have bottom surgery. And if you don't, he is going to kill himself. Can you imagine that? Like, how many people in that, between the school reporters, between the psychologists, between the doctors who do the operations, in my opinion, a whole bunch of people need to go to jail for this, for like butchering kids. No, we got to stop this. It's insanity. We've always known it's insanity. People are now reversing themselves subtly, and people like Catherine Clark, who we played there at the front, why does it happen in progressive towns? I used to live in the same town as Catherine Clark. She used to live in Melrose, Massachusetts. Very up and coming progressive town, not the most beautiful person town, but one that's on its way. One that's been written up as being like a place you want to live. It's very hard to get into there. And they've got the MBTA stops, and there's no crime, and it's all sorts of things. But it's also a sanctuary city, for whatever that means. This is a town where during the George Floyd thing, one of the things that usually says like slow down, school zone, whatever, somebody put on that thing, all lives matter. And the mayor literally launched an investigation into it, and heads rolled because of it. These people are all in progressives. And not surprisingly, very early on, there were stories coming out of that town of little day camps for little kids who were beginning their little transitions. And that was the epicenter. And it happens in progressive towns with progressive parents. They're always the ones with the kids who are trans. They are. Catherine Clark herself, like I said, has at least one kid, maybe two, who are trans. Also has, she also talked famously about having a child who was scared to death every day, had anxiety because the child was afraid of climate change. She also said another child of hers was scared to go to a movie theater because there could be a shooting. A gun person could be there. How do we let this happen? Like, these are parents who are lunatics, who are transferring their anxiety and their mental health problems to their kids. And that is no good. Cannot have that. It's a sickness, and it needs to stop. And it's around where you live, maybe not where Craig lives because he lives in a free state, but where I live, you see the lawn signs, and you can guess immediately how they parent, how they act. I've known some people who never during COVID let their kids hang out with any kid who had to do special COVID things. And I have no problem with that. We didn't. I've got 5 kids. And during COVID, I had 4 kids. But our kids hung out with the neighbors, and we blew all the rules off. And so there was no emotional damage. But we know kids up the street from us who isolated their kids. Isolated. Why? It's progressivism is no bueno. It is bad. Craig, I sent us 2 new cuts. Tell me if you got those.
I only got one.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, okay. The other one might take a bit to get through because it's sent right from my phone. But another thing that progressives do, and this is from the Maine Wire, this is actually Maine Wire reporting, is there's a spate of Medicaid fraud happening now in the autism and mental health community. And some of the conditions in these places are horrific. This is Steve Robinson of Legend to the right, who questions this woman on the left who runs one of these facilities where the gentleman they visited was filthy, was living in squalor, was not given his medication, and was not fed. And you'll see exactly who was supposed to be doing the feeding, but this woman's in charge. And listen to her defensiveness about the situation.
The conditions of that home is what you would say is what Lighthouse offers. That's the quality of care you aspire toward.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The conditions in that home, the home as it is right now, that is what Lighthouse offers.
You think
clients.
It's dirty in there?
No, I'm asking you. Do you think that house is that the quality the Lighthouse offers?
Is it just
that house is that the quality the Lighthouse offers?
there should be more. Should be no more there. Anyway, she gets if it hangs up there, and then she gets very defensive, and she says, "Like, why are you recording me? Stop recording me." And then inside, and Steve doesn't. It's really good. The audio is very funny, actually. I've tweeted it out, so if you follow my Twitter at Tom Shattuck, you can find it. She says, "You can't just record me." And he said, "Yeah, I can, and I'm going to." She said, "Well, I want you to think about before you publish anything." Any footage of this house, but that Steve was invited into, by the way, by the guy who's supposed to be getting help. Steve was invited into, and they were indignant. And they said, "No, why? We don't want you recording in the house." And Steve said, "That's too bad. That's too bad." But once again, this is the same thing. It's the same corruption in government. It's the same corruption in the system. This is blue state corruption, taking advantage of everybody. And for a lot of the voters in the state, it's out of a sense of compassion. Oh, no. Look, we have people from Rwanda and Somalia who are administering the care. We're not going to scrutinize them. These businesses, we're not going to scrutinize these businesses or all the daycares that are supposed to be there or the other health facilities that are supposed to be there that are bilking Medicaid. We're not going to scrutinize them because that would be mean. Well, okay. You didn't scrutinize them, and there's incredible abuse. And this is out of compassion. There's incredible abuse of the patients and of the system. And Medicaid is getting obviously defrauded. And you find this, and when people like Mehmet Oz now, who's in charge of Medicaid, said, "Hey, state of Maine, we want you to shape up because we know that there's Medicaid fraud." You have people like the governor of Maine, Janet Mills, saying the Trump administration is waging war on us. Maura Healey in Massachusetts, they do the same thing. That's all they do. Oh, they're waging war. You're waging war on us. And they don't want to fix the problem at all. And we've got blue state voters who are like, okay, we'll do it again. And you wonder, especially since in blue states like Massachusetts, like New York, you wonder, was it COVID? Was it COVID in all the deaths that happened that desensitized the left towards people dying? Was COVID that traumatic that they just thought, okay, I'm still wearing my mask. It's 2026. We just had to get through COVID. And if we do, then we'll just pretend nothing bad happened. And I got my 6 shots, my Fauci ouchies. I have a picture of Fauci and a Fauci pillow here. And we'll pretend, this is, let's try to play that one. That might be the other one or the same one. We can try that again, Craig.
Do you think that house is that the quality the Lice House offers?
Are you videotaping right now?
I am. We're in a public space. I'm recording an interview.
But you haven't asked my permission.
You don't have to. Maine's a one-party state. We're in a public space. You have no reasonable expectation of privacy.
Cool.
I'm a journalist and I know the law.
Yeah. I know laws as well. Last time I was in there, the house was perfectly clean. I mean, I'm not sure what you're talking about with the down.
Yeah, maybe you should inspect it yourself.
I do know that things cannot be published without backing them up, right? You can't go in and say.
I think we'll be the people who determine that. Thank you very much.
I would appreciate further notice before anything.
Nope, you won't get it. We don't have to know. We don't have to notify you at all, man.
Okay, well, I'm telling you.
And your combative attitude is only making us more suspicious.
I'm saying that you can't go into the house when there's another resident in there that violates her rights.
Your staff, if that is the case, your staff should have been. If that's the case, your staff should have been trained.
Political climate, do you think that they're going to tell any people that they can't go in there?
Hear that?
I don't know what you're referencing, man. I don't know what you're referencing.
You don't know what the current political climate was.
I don't know. I don't know what you're referencing at all. But there's clearly an individual in distress here.
Yeah, that in this current political climate. In other words, she's another activist. In this current political climate, with Trump the Nazi there, do you think that we can really go by the rules anymore? No, we're not going to scrutinize. We're not going to scrutinize these people who are in there. Let's see if we can get the other one, Craig, with John Featherston. When he goes in, he's invited by the guy who's being neglected, who's in tough shape. And he goes in. This dude confronts him with his phone right in his face. You'll see. This is who she's protecting, by the way. These people who are running these facilities where people are being ignored. Here's John Featherston. This is quite an exchange.
My name is John Featherston. I'm with the Maine Wire.
Do you have a card or something?
And your name? And what's your name?
Give me a card.
Well, let's have some professional courtesy. I told you my name. What's your name?
It's all right. You can give me your card.
I'm happy to give you my card because I'm happy to tell you who I am. But
leave them. This is a problem.
Well, I have Mike's permission to be here, so if Mike wants me to leave, I'll be happy to leave. But Mike invited me in, and I got his permission to be here.
It's right.
Okay, so I'm a guest of Mike, and I was just talking to Mike's sister and Mike's caseworker. So why are you asking me to leave?
You are a professional, right?
I am a professional.
You're a journalist, right?
Yes.
Now you've done your work, right?
Well, I do have some questions for you, because are you in charge?
I'm not gonna answer to any of your questions.
You're a journalist, right? Now leave. Leave us with the old guy, who, by the way, in this whole, I really would commend this to you. If you go to themainwire.com or just check out our X or any of our social media, we've got the entire video of the entire inspection of this guy, and he's in rough shape. It sucks to watch. It really does, because this guy could be your grandfather, my grandfather, or whatever, and he's just ignored. And the staff that's there, they don't jump into action at all. Like, obviously, the Maine Wire, the reporters are in the house now. There's one cameraman and two reporters walking around the house. But the staff, the guy like that guy, nobody jumps into action to even pretend like they want to look like they're caring for something. Like, nobody runs a vacuum or a mop or does dishes. Nothing. And at some point, the guy's sister picks him up, and he hasn't eaten. At one point, this old guy's in there, his name's Mike. At one point, he asks for bananas, and his family gives him bananas. It's so cold in his room that the bananas freeze overnight. That's how cold it is in his room. And these caregivers could give a damn, because it's all part of a scam. This is all part of a huge scam, and just another blue state scam where people who pretend to be compassionate, like the people who want to do the fake voting and have foreigners vote, and the people who are pushing the trans psycho stuff on us, this is what they voted in, because they're not compassionate. They're not competent. This is blue state governments. And this is why I look at, Craig lives in New Hampshire. I live in Massachusetts. I'm only a few miles from New Hampshire. And I look at the difference, and there's a huge, huge difference. Huge difference. The way the politics are run here, the way the priorities. I've got a friend who said, who said, don't you think this is a great state to live in? He's not a political guy at all. He's a good guy. If he voted at all, it's probably a Democrat, because he went to University of Rhode Island, and just a Boston guy. He cares about the Sox and the Patriots. And he said, don't you think this is a good state? And I said, no, I don't think Massachusetts is a good state. And he said, why not? We have all the best colleges. And I said, that's why. That's why not. All the best colleges. We've minted out generations of communists in this state. I don't want that. That's a terrible thing. To mint out post-Marxist progressives who resent this country, who resent the beginnings of this country, who are happy that they've removed a statue of Christopher Columbus from Columbus Park in Boston? Really? Who removed a statue of Abraham Lincoln who's freeing slaves in the statue? A statue that was paid for by freed slaves in the 1870s. Had to be removed because of the George Floyd things. So now, white progressives from the year 2020 know more about slavery than freed slaves from the 1860s. Those are all college people. These are all college graduates who think that there are betters. These are the elites. These are the people at that town hall saying, yes, no, absolutely, he can vote. If he's from Angola, yes. Yes, this is stolen land. Yep. What do you think they learned the stolen land thing? Stolen land. It's so overly simplistic. No, let the Angolan guy, let him defraud the voter rolls. Okay, just let him do it. Let him do. Come on, let the trans person be a gun person. Okay, we're not going to use. It's a she. That's what he wants. See, I'm a really compassionate person, and I've got a PhD because I'm better than you, and I'm compassionate, and I still wear a mask. And my yard signs all tell you how good I am. And when my yard signs tell you how good I am, by default, they're also telling you how bad everybody else is, unless they've got the same yard signs. I'm a really good person now because I chase ice around with on the Signal app, and I'm a lesbian poet, and my wingman is a male nurse who is not really a good fighter, but is trying to fight the cops and ICE anyway. We're good people because we're harassing ICE. Like I've said before, in my own town, a honcho from ICE actually lives here, and the locals have harassed him. And the locals have outed him in his address and where his kids go to school. And these are all really good people. They're really good. They'll tell you how good they are. Now let's go harass him at his front door and scare the hell out of his school kids because we are good people. So we get to do all horrific things in the name of being good. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Last thing I want to get to before we go here is the thing that has really upset the left. And I can't really. Oh, what do we got here?
The mayor of Kansas. Sorry, I thought that's where you were going.
Oh, wait, maybe it is. Yeah, play that, Craig. I actually forgot even what it is, but let's play it anyway.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud.
Yes.
The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury. Kobach claims Ceballos is lawfully living in the U.S., but is a citizen of Mexico, making him ineligible to vote. The AG alleges the mayor illegally cast ballots in the August 2024 primary and November 2022 and 2023 general elections.
In large part, our system right now is based on trust. Trust that when the person signed the registration or signs the poll books saying that he's a qualified elector or that he is a United States citizen, that the person is telling the truth.
We reached out to Mayor Ceballos for comment, but have not heard back yet. The Coldwater City Council, though, released a statement on social media saying the mayor called them in for a special meeting over the noon hour to, quote, discuss recent events that have transpired with the Kansas Attorney General's office. While the recent allegations involving the mayor are understandably concerning, we will allow the proper legal process to take its course before making any further comments.
That's a great save by you, Craig. I'd forgotten that was in the pile, but that's a perfect one. So yeah, this guy not only the audacity too. That's one thing I will give these illegals who come here. Some of the ones who are on the Medicaid fraud and the voter fraud and the transportation fraud. It's like the audacity of these people, man, they hit the ground running in the fraud circles. Let's see. I'm pretty sure we all had hateful remarks. Tina says in the chat here, it's delusional. I can't deal with others' delusional thoughts. Well, unfortunately, yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. About Bruce Jenner, he became Women of the Year. Remember that? Ridiculous.
How could I forget?
Incredible. You should show ID and go to the polls only if it's harder for anyone, then get with the times. That's Robin. Exactly. Eliso says if voters believe that they are too dumb to be allowed to vote, maybe we should do an IQ test as well. Yeah, can't have that. But I used to know there used to be a guy I used to listen to on the radio named David Brodnoy, and he was all for people who own property voting. It's not really in the spirit of the law, but having skin in the game is something. So what I want to do, last thing I want to get to, and there is nothing for this, Craig, so this is just me. This is the news that the CNN hated to, in the left media yesterday, hated to report. A stronger than expected jobs report could signal a labor market turnaround. U.S. jobs report was historically weak last year, and U.S. job growth was significantly stronger than expected at the start of this year. In the January jobs report released Wednesday, a Schrodinger's cat of employment snapshots, the seemingly opposed dynamics both held true. The U.S. economy added an estimated 130,000 jobs last month. And the unemployment rate ticked down a tenth of a percentage point to 4.3, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's far stronger than the 75,000 net gain economists had projected. And it's only 51,000 jobs shy of the entirety of jobs created in 2025, the BLS data shows. So what happened is this, is that jobs hiring went through the roof. And that's amazing because the unemployment rate is low, so there aren't that many more people to get employed. So what is happening? I don't know. And this surprised everybody. But it is a good thing and a win for President Donald Trump, who needs to be talking about this. Needs to be talking about this. He needs to continue. I like what he's doing with pharmaceutical prices, medication, making it less expensive. Some prices at the grocery store have gone down. Like, if, for instance, everybody cares about eggs. Eggs for us, where I am, are way down. Now, gas is generally down. Other things need to go down. I don't even know where Gerry is on the tariffs. I wasn't a tariff guy. I'm not a tariff guy. I don't think we needed to go.
Gerry's a tariff guy.
He is? Okay. Well, I mean, people, Scott Bessent, who I do like, would tell you that it's bringing money into the coffers. But, I mean, it does raise prices for American consumers, although it makes the marketplace more fair as well. So, like, I'm not a tariff guy. I will say this. I think that Donald Trump has a magical effect on the economy, because you don't have to be a finance bro, but certainly if you are, you get this feeling that this guy loves this country, and he loves building. He loves expanding. He loves business. He loves America winning and winning and winning. And he doesn't really overthink it. He just wants there to be a boom in this country. And if you went to Pete Hegseth was at Bath Iron Works in Bath, Maine, a couple of days ago. And these guys, union guys there, absolutely loved him and raised the roof for him, because Bath Iron Works, among other things, helps build warships. And the days of warships are back. And I know that some people are worried about the huge defense spending, and there's no reason to waste money anywhere. But we do need American dominance when it comes to defense, and that indeed does affect a lot of these guys who are working for places like Bath Iron Works. And Trump's positive go, go, go message, in the spirit of him, there are downsides. There's no doubt about that. Some of the truth socials, especially ones that portray the Obamas as animals, no bueno. Some of the ripping into Rob Reiner, I didn't need. But the DNA of this guy is pro-America. America wins. America number one. And if you don't like it, wherever you are in the world, bleep you. And remember, they were saying Trump always chickens out last year, right? Well, ask Iran if Trump always chickens out. Because what this guy has shown is that using American dominance overseas can be done wisely and responsibly. And there are some countries, we need to be the big bad guy on the block. I'm not saying we need to get into protracted wars, but sometimes bullies, thugs, and punks on the global stage need to be slapped down. And I think Trump knows that. All right. I am Tom Shattuck, in for Gerry Callahan. Gerry is back tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow, same time. No, Gerry's not back tomorrow. I'm back tomorrow. Gerry's back next week. See you later.
We've got to get this done, and we've got to get it done very quickly. The SAVE Act is an abomination. It's Jim Crow 2.0 across the country. We are going to do everything we can to stop it.